If you can't put down the pipe, don't worry, Canada has the final solution. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Canada's ridiculous law that has been updated. This particular law applied to those who were terminally in pain, may have had cancer, or severely mentally ill. They would assist you in your efforts to go ahead and pass away. Now, to be a little bit more blunt and frank, they will delete you. That's what's going on. Now, you know, I can't say certain words because we're on YouTube and they don't like when I say certain things, but y'all could put 2 and 2 together to get 4. Now, they're calling this assisted dying, maybe even euthanasia. Now, last I checked, I thought only animals could get euthanized, put down. Like if your dog is 20 years old, on its last leg, in constant pain, limping around, you euthanize your dog. But humans are now put into the same category. This is totally crazy and totally sick. But you know what? Once we get past all the emotion and the initial shock, I think this is being done for a financial purpose, okay? Don't they have universal health care in Canada? Now, wouldn't a person who is addicted to drugs and can't get off, wouldn't they be a burden to the healthcare system? So rather than that particular person or persons being a consistent burden to the healthcare system, they'll just delete them and be done with it. That's what it seems like to me. Now, before I go any further into it, let's check out an article. This is on Vice News. You see the headline: Canada will legalize medically assisted dying for people addicted to drugs. I'm not making this up. I will link to the article in the box. I will link to more news sources in the box so you can see that I'm not just talking for the sake of talking. And let's look at the headline or the subhead part.
Canada got some crazy shit going on over there. Justin Trudeau is like, he passes some crazy shit. And the only reason that we should care is because Canada is a test case for the United States. So once they do it over there, they'll do it for some months, years, or what have you. And then it would make its way over here to the United States in some form or another. It's crazy.
Pardon me. Some drug user activists have likened the move to eugenics and say Canada should be funding more harm reduction. Now, that is a really complicated subhead. It's not complicated as far as the message, but it's complicated as far as the wording to confuse you. So when they say, I got to break it down. When they say drug user activists, that is most likely talking about people that use drugs. I'm talking about cocaine, heroin, whatever they want to do. And also those who advocate for drug addicts. And then harm reduction, what that means is giving out free needles, basically enabling the drug addiction, which I don't think is a good thing. I think we should.
Which is crazy. So giving out drug paraphernalia and putting all these people into the same area, how does that help? How about programs to help these people get off drugs? Of course, you're not going to. If a person wants to get off drugs, they'll get off drugs. If they don't, they don't. But the United States in particular, they had a program where they spent, I don't know what it was, tens of millions of dollars to give these people needles and crack pipes and things of that nature, which I don't understand what the fuck that was about. What was that about? And then they're putting all these people in the same area just to do what? To do what? You look at Kensington in Philadelphia. It is a fucking shithole. It's zombies, basically. It's what it is. But I don't know. I'm still trying to figure all this shit out. That's what I'm doing. And I'm trying to clean up my language.
Fight harder to get drugs out of society. And I'm not talking about just the drugs you see on the street, the weed, cocaine, ABL. Weed's not like cocaine. Let's stay focused. But other drugs that come from Big Pharma are also a problem. Fentanyl is a creation of Big Pharma. A lot of the drug addiction is driven by Big Pharma. You got to regulate that and the street stuff, but definitely Big Pharma first, because that will reduce the abuse of street drugs, in my humble opinion. But let's keep on going and see what's happening in the article. So Canada will legalize medically assisted dying for people who are addicted to drugs next spring, and a move some drug users call and activists are calling eugenics. The country's medical assistance and dying MAID, is that what they're going to call it? That's crazy. Which first came into effect in 2016, will be expanded next March to give access to people whose sole medical condition is mental illness, which can include substance use disorders. Now, let's pause right there. As I said, this is an update to the pre-existing law. So they could already delete you legally if you request it, I suppose. They could already do that for other things. You're terminally ill, you're in constant pain or whatever. But now they say, okay, not just cancer patients, people like that. If you are a crack smoker, a fentanyl abuser, we can delete you as well. And it'll be compassionate. But like I said, in reality, I think it's a way to lessen the burden of these people on universal health care. You have terminal cancer. Well, rather than being on the hook for your cancer treatments, your chemotherapy or whatever, rather than placing you in hospice, rather than spending all that money on you, that way, we'll just go ahead and delete you. And we'll say that it's something that is beneficial. All right, people may have thoughts in their minds and in their life. Canada will just accelerate the process and give you an avenue to take. That's probably what's going on, and the same thing here. That is clearly what's happening. But let's keep on going. Before the changes take place, however, a special parliamentary committee, Death Panel on MAID, will regroup to scrutinize the rollout of the new regulations, according to the Toronto Star. Currently, people are eligible for MAID if they have a grievance and irremediable medical condition, such as a serious...
This stuff is crazy. So, you mean to tell me if you walk up to a person and shoot them and kill them, you're going to be imprisoned? But if you walk up to a government official, and we're talking about Canada right now, soon to be coming to the US. If you walk up to a government official and say, I want to die, and they grant your wish, that's okay. What is the difference? What's the difference? There's no difference.
Serious illness or disability that has put them in an advanced state of irreversible decline and cause enduring physical or psychological suffering, excluding mental illness. But now we're going to include the mental illness. Now, back to disability. Okay, you may have had a serious car accident and you're getting a lot of surgeries and it's not getting really better for you, and you are in a state of depression. You can go ahead and have this done. So for Canada, it's a win-win. They are able to help you stop suffering, but they are also able to help themselves save money. Now, am I being cold? Am I being callous? Am I kind of off the mark? You guys let me.
No, you're not being cold. You're not being callous. You always got to go to the money. You always got to point back to the money, no matter what it is in Western society. In other parts of the world, it's about ideology. In the Western society, you gotta go back to the money.
You know your thoughts about this in the comments, but we continue. Anyone who receives MAID must also go through 2 assessments from independent healthcare providers among meeting other criteria. The contentious idea of including people who are addicted to drugs is being discussed this week at a conference for the Canadian Society of Addiction Medicine in Victoria, BC. Quote, I don't think it's fair, and the government doesn't think it's fair, to exclude people from eligibility because their medical doctor or their suffering is related to a mental illness, said Dr. David Martel, physicianist lead for addictions medicine at Nova Scotia Health, who is presenting a framework for assessing people with substance use disorders for MAID at the conference. As a subset of that, it's not fair to exclude people from eligibility purely because their mental disorder might either partly or in full be a substance use disorder. It has to do with treating people equally. I mean, that's totally crazy. Now, let's keep on going here. However, some drug users and harm reduction advocates told Vice News they're upset the idea of drug users being given access to MAID is even being discussed, as they feel other public health measures, including better access to overdose prevention sites, opioid agonist medications like methadone, a regulated drug supply, housing, employment. I mean, come on. Like, people that like to smoke crack all day, they're not really trying to get jobs for real. Okay, a lot of these guys already got jobs if they are able to work. The problem is big pharma, street drugs, that's the issue. As long as that's still going on, this is going to be a constant problem. I see this as Canada attempting to find some kind of quote unquote compassionate, at least in the eyes of the public, way to delete you if you are a burden on the healthcare system. It's really just that simple. Remember the whole thing. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna just leave this article in the box. I'm gonna come back so you can see me clearly. Remember when the idea of universal healthcare was discussed in America and the idea of death panels was floated about? Oh, there's gonna be death panels. They're gonna pick and choose who gets treatment and who doesn't. People say, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. That's tinfoil hat nonsense. Well, what is this? What is that? If you are seriously ill, you are end of life, terminally ill, bad disability, car accident, you got mangled up, paraplegic, constant pain, you are an habitual crack smoker, fentanyl abuser, you overdose every 2 weeks. Okay, well, look, we can go ahead and just put you on this list to get deleted by the state. So then your expenditures won't be a burden on the system. If you are not hooked on drugs and you need some kind of surgery, we'll put you on the waiting list.